Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Our first president of the United States, George Washington, said this in 1785. Be Americans. Let there be no sectionalism, no north, south, east, or west. You are all dependent on one another and should be one in union. In one word, be a nation. Be Americans and be true to yourselves. Amen. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday. Please call in. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Great job. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And changes, much cooler. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And, of course, the very best, underline that word best, of tools and equipment for anything you need to finish any kind of a task, any kind of a construction project. You get a hold of them today. K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Last day of August, and it feels a little bit like fall. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 40% chance of showers for today, mostly cloudy skies, and expecting a high of 66. By this afternoon, winds are going to be picking up as well, and gusts could see as high as 33 miles an hour. Tonight, those rain showers could continue in the early evening, mostly clear by the time we hit the overnight hours with a low of 41. The winds are going to continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of 73 with an overnight low of 47. By Wednesday, warming up to 84, and then Thursday and Friday back up into the upper 80s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather again brought to you by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning, and they offer the rental tools and equipment you need for both long and short-term rentals. So please, if you're not sure what you need, just give them a call, 678-3122. On the Burley Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. You know the drill. I want to remind everybody, too, about Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy, they really know their stuff. And their stuff is that they offer the best in dry cleaning your clothes to keep them nice looking for a long, long time. Absolutely. And if you can't wash your clothes, take them in there. They can also wash, dry, fold, and you're going to have a treatment just like Mama used to give you at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. When we kick off the program in the morning, we always talk about our friends that also start early in the morning at 7:30, and that's, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I can see them all. They're hustling and bustling around there, as they have for almost 7 decades. Wow. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. They've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your call.
Well, thank you, Deb. And how is your lovely wife?
Keith, I am not going to talk about that issue with my wife on the radio. I refuse to, because it's way too personal, and quite frankly, I get too emotionally involved in the situation. I'll just tell you this, she's having a hard time, and we're going to let it go at that. And I hope and pray, and special emphasis on the word pray, that I can have better news for folks in the next day, 2 days, or whatever. But I'm not going to elaborate. Thank you.
Well, thank you for at least letting us know that everything is going along, not good, but there is hope.
Well, like I said, don't expect me to give any kind of a dissertation on it, because I'm not going to do that. I do want to thank everybody for their cards and their emails, and a lot of people have stopped in and everything to see me, and that's where I'm going to leave it, because she's not only my wife, she's my best friend, and I don't like to see her suffering, and I'm going to let it go at that. What else can I do for you?
Okay. A few years back, Fox took on Ron Williams, who is a dedicated Democrat, and they kicked him out of NPR because he was so bad. And Fox says, we'll take him. And so he's been on Fox, and he's kind of added to their so-called fair and balance. But when they brought on this Donna Brazile, I just don't know what to think. That woman is full of venom.
Well, she's not only full of venom, and she has a right to her opinion, but I will say this. I don't like her twisting and turning various commentaries into a racial tone, and she did this last week, and I've lost all my respect for her. And she not only twisted the story, but she elaborated and enhanced the story so that everything was based on racial issues, and Donna is not one of my favorite people.
Well, now she's interfering with President Trump's visit to Wisconsin.
No, she's not. This is baloney. President Trump has a right to go anywhere he wants to as President of the United States, Remember that. And the mayor of Kenosha and the idiots that are in control on the left have no business turning this into a multiracial, fire-burning, looting, oh my, the earth is going to crash attitude. I'm disgusted with people that are trying to turn everything into a race issue and also a blame Trump issue. I hope he lands in Milwaukee, drives to Kenosha, and basically tells them to stick it in their ear.
Well, when is President Trump going to be able to tell the world what he has done and what he's going to do? It seemed like Fox is the only one to do this, and then they got Donna Brazile now trying to dampen that.
Well, don't worry, Keith. The word is getting out, and people are absolutely seeing through the false front building like in the Old West of the Democratic Party. They're a party of losers. They're a party of liars. They're a party of despots, and I have no use for any of them. I'm fed up with all this racial overtone and the okaying of burning and looting. It's disgusting, and it's got to stop, and I hope and pray that it ends soon, and there may be some bloody noses because of it.
Well, I agree with you 100%. As usual, we seem to be on the same page, and I hope we always will be. But this mayor in Portland, oh my goodness, he tried to blame the whole thing on the Trump.
Yeah, if there's a cat in a tree, over in Portland, Trump's going to get blamed for the cat in the tree. Keith, I've got to run. I've got other calls stacked up, and I've got to get some commercials in. I appreciate you. God bless you, and good to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Well, God bless you and your wife.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it, buddy. Caller, I'll be right there. Dino Septic Service, the very best at what they do. They've got all the new equipment to help you with septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines cleaning, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed. Wow, I'm telling you, they can help. They will help. Fast, fair, friendly service. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. The best, Dino's Septic Service. By the way, I also want to give an acknowledgement out to Anthony at Save on Shells. Nobody does a better job of helping you with a camper shell for the back of your pickup. I mean, I've bought 2 of them, and I've got the beautiful ARE shell on my pickup right now with a lifetime warranty. Quality, service, and low prices. That is Anthony at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, give him a call. Make sure he's right there to help and serve you. 312-1525. Save on Shells in Burley. Caller, good morning. Thank you.
Morning, Trevor. The menu at the Burley Senior Center today is hamburger and french fries and all of the trimming. Everybody's welcome. Only $5.
And if they want to take takeouts and take it back to their office, can they do that?
Just call or come in and they'll fix you up with a meal to go.
All right. Joe, God bless you, man, and we'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland. Thank you for your call.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, buddy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say this right now, and you, the audience, have known me for many, many years, and I absolutely respect each and every one of you and all of our advertisers. Things are going to get a little difficult here for some time, and to our advertisers and sponsors, I'm going to be a little lax on paperwork and everything. I know many of you are listening in the morning. Bear with me. This is a time that I'm kind of in deep water over my head, so if you can just kind of bear with me and ride the tide with me, I would certainly appreciate it. And to all of our friends and neighbors, again, I want to reiterate that many of you have called, and many of you I have not had the time to call back. I really would appreciate it if you'd have understanding right now, because this is one of the most tumultuous times that I've had to go through. I am going to try to keep running this program for the next couple of days, and then I'm going to have Sharon fill in on Thursday so that I can spend more time with my wife and trying to figure out how we're going to get through this, and hopefully a lot of prayers that she will. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And you're talking great food. You're talking a menu that just kind of jumps out at you and says, try me, try me. I mean, they're absolutely the best. All the great menu choices for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and, of course, all the desserts, everything. You go in, sit down, really nice, caring people are going to serve you at Denny's Restaurant. It's true. It's America's Diner. Great folks. 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. America's Diner. Thank you very much. Oh, today is the last day for the sports physicals, only being $10 at the Urgent Cares. I urge you at the Urgent Cares to stop in and see those good folks today. $10 sports physicals. $10, that's it. Today's the last day. And I urge you to run into Riverview Urgent Care on Overland and Burley, or Urgent Care of Jerome on West Avenue A, or Urgent Care of Twin Falls on Addison Avenue East. $10 sports physicals for your high school athletes if they haven't gone back yet. And remember, the money will be donated back to your school's athletic program. Thank you, the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Urgent Care of Twin Falls, and Urgent Care of Jerome. All right, please, I would appreciate the calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The snakes are out and spewing their venom at anyone and everyone that does not go along with their progressive poison. These people are snakes. These snakes are punks, worthless punks that are nothing but paid anarchists destroying our country. I listened to early this morning, I tell you what, my whole schedule's been flipped upside down, but I had a chance to listen a little bit to a person talking about a book that has been written by a white, liberal, and I'm going to be very blunt, stupid woman, that she has written this book, and the whole book is about the gist of it's okay. It's okay to burn. It's okay to loot. It's okay to destroy anything in the cities or the suburbs if you're a part of Black Lives Matter or whatever. And the reason? Because white privilege has dominated this country. So it's okay to revolt against whitey. What are your thoughts on that? I've worked darn hard for my business. And to think that there are some absolute jughead punks out there that think because of the color of my skin I don't deserve it? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, if you think back to right after President Trump took office, wasn't it Maxine Waters who went on national TV, had a little group of whatever they are, uninformed people, telling them to, she was inciting violence against anyone in the Trump administration.
Yes. She stood up there on her little soapbox, and I have the most repulsive attitude against her for inciting violence and saying that whenever you see a Republican, whenever you see a Trump supporter, go up and get in their face, condemn them, damn them, whatever. That woman is nothing but worthless to our Congress of the United States.
Well, that's what I was getting at. The whole Democratic Party, it seems, with the exception of very few, there are some that are changing sides. They're all about inciting violence, telling these people, paying these people by the busloads to go and destroy other people's and kill people's. I mean, it's tragic and it's absurd to think that they can keep getting away with this.
Donna, did you happen to catch, and this is just indicative of what's going on in this country, did you happen to catch after the speech at the White House Thursday night to close the Republican National Convention, and by the way, the fireworks and the Americana and the atmosphere and the aura of the United States being a great country was absolutely amplified during that convention. But after the convention was over, and people were walking like 3-4 blocks to their transportation to get home, Rand Paul and his wife and another couple were surrounded by about 120 of these filthy, worthless mobsters, and if it hadn't been for 6 very brave police officers literally having to push, shove, and billy club some of these mobsters, Rand Paul and his wife may have been very easily beaten and subdued and laying in the street.
Oh yeah, I watched it on TV. I thought it was. Thank God we still have policemen that are willing to put their lives on the line. Nobody can blame them nowadays for not wanting to even go to work. But I just don't understand how the Democrats. I mean, their hatred for Trump has overrun any common sense they ever did have. All they can think of is getting him out of office.
Well, when you hear stories about how some of these people that are these vermin that go to loot and burn and destroy and beat and spit on people, when they leave, they've been followed in many instances, and I'm not making this up. You probably have heard this story already. Many have been followed to vehicles where they have been stopped by the police, and woe and behold, they have found bricks, baseball bats, gasoline cans, frozen bottles of water, bottles of filled cement. These are paid anarchists that are out there trying to destroy civilization in America.
Oh, no, I've heard it. I've seen it on TV. And like I said, God bless the first responders. They've even gone after firefighters, and I know that's very near and dear to your heart. And God bless these men and women who go out every day and still try to do their job and protect their communities. Hopefully they get to return home to their families.
Let me just tell you something. Let me just interrupt you there a minute. You made a comment that absolutely is very close to my heart, and that's my son. And him being a firefighter for the city of Boise. And he has told me some instances of where they've arrived on scene and have been harassed and threatened by various other people on the left, these so-called progressives, slimes. I pray that nothing happens. I pray that they are safe. But this shows you how slimy and sleazy and snake-like the left is, and I will never apologize for my remarks against them.
No, I don't apologize either. In fact, I wish I could get my voice out more. And, you know, to me, the only way to kill a snake is to cut its damn head off.
Well, and I know you wouldn't believe some of the emails I've got lately. People, you're advocating violence and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, now listen real careful to what I'm about to say. Yes, I am. It's high time to bring out the billy clubs. It's high time to bring out the water cannons. It's past time to put America back as a civilized society that respects law and order. If people go down in a heap because of it, I don't care.
Well, I'm right there with you. I totally agree. I have 3 shovels sitting outside my door.
Okay. I know what that means, too. Thank you, Donna. God bless you. Thank you so much. And by the way, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your friendship, you and George. Thank you very much.
Well, we feel the same about you and your lovely bride.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I want to remind everybody about a great big horse sale, and I don't think that there's ever been a horse sale that I've advertised for that I feel really in touch with the owners. I really feel in touch with the quality of horses that they have. I really feel like you folks ought to get up to the 32nd annual production sale for Zollinger quarter horses. Jerry Zollinger and the family, I mean, they've got the best of colts and fillies, and when I say that, they've got horses with minds. They got horses with talent. They got horses with personality. They were raised in the rocks, and they know how to carry themselves. These are excellent horses. The sale's going to be Saturday, September 12th. Don't forget, preview at 10 a.m., sale at 11 at the ranch, 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. The best. Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, 32nd annual production sale, September 12th. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. The Democratic Party was hoping that the Antifa and Black Lives Matter was their ace in a hole to getting back into power again. And from what I'm seeing, there's going to be a shift right now where the people that are being injured are going to backfire on these people, these Democrats, put a stop to all this garbage that's going on. Can you imagine these people killing police officers, what they would do to you and I out in the street?
Well, of course I can. I think anybody that has any kind of common sense can understand. We're looking at an anarchist, chaotic society that's melting down. There were more, very unfortunately, very, very sad, more police officers killed over the weekend. I'm fed up with it, and I'm sure you are too. I don't give a darn, Tony, if somebody's offended by my remarks on this radio program. I'm frustrated. I've got some personal issues that are really eating and tearing away at me. I've got issues that I worry about society. I've got issues with this program. And right now at my age, I don't care who's offended. We got to clean this mess up.
Well, I talked to some of my neighbors, and I'm telling you, if they start coming through the neighborhoods, damaging property, there's going to be blood out in our neighborhood.
There's got to be a cleanup. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I've never seen anything.
Going on.
I've never seen anything like this. Every single thing that goes on, it's a blame Trump or conservatives. Oh, you did this, you caused that. And I wasn't kidding a few moments ago when I made the comment that if a kitten gets stuck in a tree, it's Trump's fault.
You know, these people don't understand that they're being used by outside people like George Soros and Putin and the rest of that bunch to bring us down. And they are being used to bring the United States down. And they figure if socialism and communism takes over, they are going to be living a great life.
Yeah.
They don't understand if communists take over, they are going to be at the position that they can't leave their country. They've lost all their freedoms, and they're nothing but a bunch of zombies living under communism. So they think they're doing a great job by helping us out, and it's going to backfire on them.
I agree. You know, you and Mary are special people. God bless you, Tony. I got to run and do a cookie giveaway, but thank you for your call.
Okay, hope Deanne's okay.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Tony. God bless you.
Okay. Bye.
Time for some cookies to be given away, thanks to our friends over at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street, right on the square in Rupert. And we're talking about a restaurant, knock your socks off, delicious, great menu choices over at Sophie's. Wow, you won't leave hungry. And a great bakery with all the cookies and the pies and the cakes, wedding cakes, you name it, muffins. Oh, it's delicious. Right now, we're going to give away a dozen cookies to the first person. I'm going to give you a real slam dunk easy one here this morning, and we're going to go back to the 60s, television series in the 60s. Who played the sergeant? Who was the actor that played the sergeant? He was bungling and conniving sergeant on F Troop. A very famous actor, well-known character actor. Who was the actor that played the conniving and bungling and leader of F Troop? What was his name? Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and you could win a dozen delicious, fantabulous cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Quickly, give me a call. I'll say it one more time. I know a lot of you probably ran to the computer to look it up. We'll see what this person has to say. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, it was Forrest Tucker.
Who is this?
Ray Bagby.
Well, my goodness, the Cookie Monster. You won, Mr. Bagby.
I've been starved down.
Well, you're not anymore. You call Sophie's Chatterbox, tell them that you won the cookies for this week, and get what you want and go pick them up, all right?
I will, and thank you very much, Seb.
You're welcome, my friend. Forrest Tucker was the right answer, and he was in a lot of TV series as a character actor and did quite a job, too. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I mean, liberalism, and then it goes even further than that. I was reading, and it was in the paper this morning, a story that absolutely sickened me. A man that was a part of Patriot Prayer in Portland was fatally shot because he was a part of a Trump support group. And believe me, Patriot Prayer is not, they pray for our nation. They pray for the healing of our nation. And the shooting happened about 15 minutes after a caravan of about 600 vehicles were part of a pro-Trump rally in Portland. They were leaving. And this one man was shot and killed. I mean, folks, if you think we are living in a safe zone, away from the anarchy and away from the chaos and away from this vermin that has taken over the left and wants to destroy this country. No. There have been many that have been interviewed, and they have said they're going to try to take their cause into the hinterland, the suburbs, and go across the nation with a scourge of their filth and their slime. There have been 3 months, over 3 months of complete chaos and idiocy in Portland. I am stumped. I am totally stumped as to how the mayor of Portland can go to his office in the morning and reside there as the mayor of Portland and then leave at night. I'm just stumped. This man is totally worthless. He's not doing anything for the citizenry and the safety of his community. And some of the people, this is so horrendous. I'm sorry, I'm really worked up this morning about this. No, I'm not sorry. I'm really worked up over what's happening in this country. But some of the people were shouting, we're glad that the man died because he was probably a white racist anyway. How disgusting. This is America. And in just the last 5-6 months, it's denigrated into a wannabe for the left that they call progressivism. No, it's sewerism. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
That's a good way to put it right there. They have sunk pretty low when the Americans cannot walk the streets without being screamed at, hollered at, spit on, threatened. It's time for Americans, patriots, to take the streets back.
Did you notice the Times News Sunday edition yesterday?
No.
Well, I got home from the hospital and picked up the Sunday paper, and Sean, I got a little bit of feedback here. Help me out, please. I picked up the Sunday paper and scanned it as quick as I could, and I came to the opinion section, and honestly, mark my words, take a look at it yourself. Almost every story on the front page and inside was anti-Trump. Trump did this wrong. Trump did this wrong. All the supporters of Trump do this wrong. I'm fed up with this.
Well, I am too. You know, they keep criticizing Trump. Here's a challenge to them. Instead of criticizing President Trump, say what you would have done different.
Yeah.
I mean, where's your solution?
Yep.
The only thing you have is criticism without offering any solution, and that's an empty vessel.
Doug, are we going to go back in time to where we can only go out during the daytime and arming ourselves and quickly scurry to the grocery store, quickly scurry to the store, maybe to get needed services of tires or whatever, and then scurry home and lock our doors and sit behind locked doors? Is that what this country's coming to?
Nope. Not me, but there's areas out there where it is like that. But these people going into these rich neighborhoods where they're going in and waking people up, shooting off fireworks and stuff.
And shining light in their windows.
Exactly. Are they all Republicans that they're doing that to, or are there some liberals in there that they're making upset also?
I have no idea, but I cannot understand how the likes of senility with Joe Biden and the likes of no character or no personality, Kamala Harris, how they cannot sit there and condemn the violence, damn the violence, and condemn the people who are doing it. They're a pit of snakes, and they're all of one kind.
Well, they think it's helping them. They think it's going to help them in November, but it's backfiring on them, and they're just starting to realize it. Because there are people out there waking up and thinking, hey, if we put them in office, this is what our country's going to be like. And one thing with these people that are protesting that don't even live in that area or in that state, if you're arrested protesting and you do not, and it's not protesting, I should say rioting, because the peaceful protest, nobody gets arrested. But if you're rioting and tearing property down and you do not live in that state, it should be a felony.
I watched the other night, and I don't care who argues with me on this, I'm not going to back down. When I saw that video of Rand Paul and his wife absolutely surrounded by mobsters that wanted to kick them, beat them, and punch them to the streets and the pavement, and 6 extremely brave police officers jumped in and surrounded Rand Paul and his wife, and through a lot of pushing, shoving, and billy clubs, which a lot of them should have had bloody noses, the snakes that were trying to get at them. I was fearing watching the video. I was fearing for Rand Paul and his wife's life.
Exactly. And there's others, too, that have come. Dan Bongino.
Yes.
Him and his wife was there, and she recorded it all. The language these guys use. Is this what we want for America? People that will threaten you and bully you? Is it's the mob going to rule, or are patriots going to rule?
I don't know, but we're at a crossroads. We're not waiting to drive up to the crossroads. We're already there. And if this continues, we've seen 3 months, Doug, of hurting and burning and looting and destroying and, yes, killing in Portland. Well, Doug, never in my life, and I'm 72 years old, would I ever think that in the United States of America we would be having a war within our country of insurrectionist leftist snakes that are trying to tear our country apart.
Exactly, and if we had a media that was honest, that wasn't in the tank for the liberals, then this would all be exposed and it wouldn't be happening. I blame a lot of this on the media. I blame a lot of it on Antifa and Black Lives Matter, who, if you go read their websites, they do not want the United States to survive. They want the United States to fall.
Well, I'm telling you one thing. It's we're on the verge, and I know that there's those in the audience that just listen to tear me apart on Facebook and everything else. That's fine. Have at it, you lowlifes. We're on the verge of a civil war. We're on the verge of total anarchy. If we don't step up, we, the good people, don't step up and say enough and support our police forces, support our firemen, support people that are in power so that we can get back to a civilized society. That's the bottom line, Doug.
Exactly. Exactly. This is, each generation will have, a vote and stuff like that is very important, and this is ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a moment to step up.
I got to run. I've got calls stacked up. Thanks, Doug.
Hey, anyway, God bless everybody. Let's do what we can for our senior centers. Go eat there if you can, and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
Thanks, Doug. I got to run, caller. I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, the best of sales, service, and parts. 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location for all the Bobcats, all the different shapes and sizes, trenchers, scissor lifts, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. Look no further than your friends that are serving you at Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. Caller, I'll take your call before the weather. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, first off, I want to say I've been praying real hard for your wife, hoping she gets better real soon.
Thank you, Rodney.
And second off, I think people had better start arming themselves because we're not going to be safe here. This war is coming to this area, I can assure you.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you, Rodney. I'm not going to try to squelch what you said. I'm not going to try to override what you said. I'm just going to be in total agreement that it's time that we all became much more cognizant of what's really going on. You can't be ostriches and bury your heads in the sand or wherever.
No, you can't. And I'm going to leave just with this. God bless you and God bless your wife, and I really hope she gets better soon.
Rodney, I thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm praying for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Time for the weather forecast, and it's brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, they are the ones that know all about hearing health. Please, please call them, make an appointment. Caller, I'll be right there, 312-0957, the number to call. They're located right behind the Minidoka Memorial Hospital, across from the emergency room, and they've got a bigger facility right now to better serve you. Call them at 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Real quick, we'll do the weather. Here's Gina.
Last day of August, and it feels a little bit like fall. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 40% chance of showers for today, mostly cloudy skies, and expecting a high of 66. By this afternoon, winds are going to be picking up as well, and gusts could see as high as 33 miles an hour. Tonight, those rain showers could continue in the early evening, mostly clear by the time we hit the overnight hours with a low of 41. The winds are going to continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of 73 with an overnight low of 47. By Wednesday, warming up to 84, and then Thursday and Friday back up into the upper 80s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. And right now, I also want to say thanks again to our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. They provide the expert diagnostic testing for your hearing health. 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, it seems like these people, these evil people, are just laying there in the weeds waiting for a black person to get shot. Now, let's take George Floyd, for instance. They're blaming this officer for his death. It's not true. They just had an autopsy report come out, and it said this drug that he was on impaired breathing immensely. Now, did the officer do wrong? Yes. But did he take this man's life? I don't believe it's true. But it was an excuse to start all this tyranny.
Yeah, I just can't say enough that I agree with you, and there's so many circumstances. Bear with me a second, Keith. There's so many circumstances about these men and their personalities and their past, both of which, and I'm not minimizing their death whatsoever, and I want these knotheads in the audience that are liberals to consider, instead of condemning me, think. Both of these men that recently died, one in a police shooting and the other one with the knee on the neck, were not exactly your stars of the community. They had been many times felons. One, of course, had been involved in some various sex crimes, etc. The other, a burglar and other felonies. So let's not hold them up as being the great big shining star of the community. It is terribly unfortunate what happened when they met their demise. It was not called for, and quite frankly, people should be punished for it. But let's not lose sight of the fact that these were felons and bad guys that had been in trouble before.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that just really makes me proud is this secretly, not secretly, but just quietly, they've formed a militia, like in our area and probably all other areas of the United States. And I seen on TV just this morning that this van that said Black Lives Matter they were able to destroy that van.
Well, I'm fed up with black. I don't even want to get into militias right now. I don't want to get into anything like that. I think that we need to restore, listen to me carefully, we need to restore law and order through the proper channels. Those are our elected officials and sheriffs and police chiefs, police forces, sheriff's officers. That's what needs to be enhanced, and they need to go back to doing exactly what they know how to do, and that's enforce the law. I don't want to see vigilante justice take over and reign in control of this country, but Keith, we've got to open up the floodgates and tell our officers and our policemen, go out and do your job.
But we've also got to take the citizenry and, more or less arm them, or, so if they're able to fight back, not that they do fight back, but to fight against this tyranny.
I agree.
It's got to be that way.
I'm in total agreement. I'm an advocate of gun ownership. I'm an advocate of gun knowledge. I'm an advocate of protecting you, your family, and your property. I will never back down on that. And I hold the McCloskeys in high regard for having the backbone and the spine and the guts, if you will, to stand up to these vermin snakes that came onto their property. God bless them.
Isn't there enough strength, like in Chicago, for them to have a recall on this evil mayor?
Well, I tell you what, I'm just amazed, and I am amazed. I'm shocked that good people that are God-fearing, law-abiding people are not standing up and doing more in demanding that we take a big broom and a dustpan and clean up our society.
But you know what's ironic? And these folks just called me just the other day. I have friends that live within 30 miles of downtown Chicago, and their lives just go on as normal as can be. It just seemed to be in that particular area that they're having all these problems.
Yeah, well, a lot of people develop the attitude of not in my backyard, and they don't worry about it. Keith, I got to run. Thank you. I got a spot to get in here. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to thank our major sponsor, and they've been with us a long time on this program, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you naturally with the best in tires, naturally with all the tires you need for all your vehicles, but they also have the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians. Oh, they know their stuff when it comes to brakes. Also, of course, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. Great service to get you back out on the road and drive safely. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, how you doing? And Trent, my buddy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. A gentleman that I knew, not real well, but we were friends, and I've known him for, oh goodness, almost 20 years, just passed away, and I know you know him too, if you followed college basketball at all, and that was John Thompson. He coached Georgetown University for years and years and was one of the best basketball coaches in America. He passed away just recently at 78 years of age. One of my unique memories of John Thompson was I was announcing a rodeo down in Las Vegas. And he was the guest that evening of the managerial staff. And they asked him if he wanted to come up and sit in the announcer's stand. And I never will forget, while I'm trying to announce the rodeo, John's sitting right there asking questions. Well, why did they do this? Or how come they did this? And I felt bad, but I had to keep telling John, just hang on, John. I'll tell you after it's all over. But a very nice man and a very inquisitive man about other things. John Thompson passing away, former coach of Georgetown University. Let's see, what else have I got? The hurricane down in Louisiana has affected many, many people that I know. Devastation, especially around the Lake Charles area. And we have a lot of friends that live in that area, a lot of people in the horse business, etc. And the devastation, absolutely amazing, with all the water and the damage from the forces of the water and the wind and everything. And our hearts go out to all of those folks in Louisiana after Hurricane Laura. Absolutely devastating. We're going to take a little break. I'm going to calm down, and we're going to come back with my dear, dear friend Rick Manning in the next hour at 9:06, and then another dear friend at 9:30 this morning, and that's Dr. Gerard Lamero. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch will be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, August 31, last day of the month of August. Where, please, somebody go find it. Where did summer go? We are very thankful to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. You stop in and see them today. And, of course, also our big thanks go to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Don't forget, get on the route service. Call them and say goodbye to your trash. 734-6969. Get on the weekly service. They'll come pick it up. It's gone. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Want to give another great big shout out to some folks that have ridden the horse with us for a long, long time, and that's our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Heward, family, staff, and I guarantee you that when there's the passing of a loved one, they are there to help you. Very flexible hours to be a service to you. Don't forget, too, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to remember the number 436-5636. Once again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Quick note, too, about our friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I absolutely urge you to, if you're feeling kind of the aches and the pains or recouping from surgery or maybe an accident, don't put it off. Call them at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists are serving you to make your life better. Get back to what it should be. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Call for an appointment today at 678-1191. The best helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and a man that is a dear friend to this program and very, very straightforward about his opinions, and I respect that, the president of Americans for Limited Government. Good morning, Rick Manning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you?
Well, we got some problems here. My lovely wife has been in the hospital for about 10, 11 days, and I absolutely am trying to burn the candle at both ends, but I don't want to get into that and discuss it. I'll talk to you off the air. But, Rick, I don't know what to do or say on this program anymore about the snakes that are out among us, causing all this strife, destruction, degradation, burning, looting, and we even have people now that are taking the side of these snakes and saying, well, it's okay for Black Lives Matter to go out and loot and burn and take everything because they got to get back at Whitey because he's got white privilege. This is insanity that's going on.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to give you the good news on it. This has been a kind of an undercurrent in American politics for quite a while, and it is good that it is finally out in the open. While it's painful that it's out in the open, the fact is you cannot heal a wound unless you cauterize it, and you can't cauterize it unless you actually know it's there. And this isn't something where you can buy people off by giving them an extra, bunch of money or any of that kind of stuff. This is something which is a mass feeding of the idea that a whole class of people have been victimized for 400 years, and as a result, anybody who's not in that class of people needs to pay them money. And there are a number of people who believe that. And quite honestly, the Democratic Party has bought into that argument. And so the crazy stuff about reparations that they've been talking about for 20, 30 years is now a real argument that's being waged. But before we couldn't talk about it, okay? Now we can. And once you can talk about something, and you can effectively beat it. You can show its absurdity. The Facebooks and the Twitters of the world will seek to stop that discourse. But the fact is, America knows that this is nonsense. America knows that we are the greatest light of opportunity in the history of the world, and that opportunity is not based on race. It may have been at one time, but it isn't now. And so what we have to do is we have to make our case and win and effectively beat these guys so badly at the polling places, the ballot box, that they don't crawl out from the hidey holes for another 50 years.
I was sitting here thinking while you were talking and giving a very good answer about how can the blacks and Black Lives Matter, how can they decry America? How can they sit there and demonize America when we've had so many advancements since the 60s in Selma, Alabama, with Barack Obama being president and Eric Holder, Attorney General, Kamala Harris running for vice president, Tim Scott, one of the most renowned senators in Congress. I mean, the idiocy of these people, they can't see the forest because a tree's sticking them in the nose.
Well, you're assuming they want to. Marxists have for a long time sought to create racial revolution in America. This is not new. This is part of the Marxist doctrine for 80 years. What's new is that they are now sticking their heads up above ground and spouting the nonsense because they've effectively indoctrinated a significant portion of our children into cultural Marxism and accepting the language of cultural Marxism. And once you accept the language of something, you have effectively accepted it. The fact is that our classes at the University of Michigan, I read this. When I was writing the book with Star Parker, Necessary Noise, I did a chapter on this that didn't make it into the book, dealing with the how our university systems were corrupted and with different stupid things that were going on. University of Michigan requires people who are going to get a business degree. It's one of the top business schools in America. Requires them to get 2 semesters on white privilege. So it is essentially to graduate from top business schools, you have to be taught that you have to go through and pass classes that say you have had an unfair advantage because of the color of your skin, and you have to make amends for that unfair advantage. That's the level of indoctrination that's being achieved in the country. And until we fix that, we will have this problem will fester more and more. But but once you recognize a problem, once you recognize something that's being done, and I use the term cultural Marxism, and I don't use it lightly, but that's what it is. It's an indoctrination that capitalism is evil. White privilege is nothing more than a code signal for capitalism. And so when they're talking about systemic racism, they're talking about capitalism. And the replacement structure they want to put into place is Marxism. There's no mistake about that. So when these guys are talking about institutional racism, you need to hear the word capitalism. And because somehow they believe a system that is based completely on merit, which is what true capitalism is, based completely on merit, is in fact an instrument for racial injustice, and a system that's based completely on government favors and big government deciding who gets what when is somehow a system that is egalitarian and fair. It's absurd in its premise, but it's a premise they have. It's a premise we have to destroy. It's a premise why one of the reasons Americans for limited government exists.
You know, you just used a couple of words that I want to amplify. We have to destroy. Therein, I think, lies the problem. Good people, good, solid Americans that absolutely stand teary-eyed watching and observing the national anthem and our flag flying in the breeze and our Pledge of Allegiance with their hand over their heart. Good people have got to start standing up and fighting evil instead of being lackadaisical and like a sponge absorbing all the bad that's going on. We've got to fight back.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think we had an inflection point in our country on Thursday, and I use that term. I need to be more precise. We had a turning point, a place where people can't stick their heads in the ground anymore, at least in Washington, D.C. I had the great privilege and honor to be able to be at the White House for the president's speech on Thursday night when he accepted the Republican nomination. It was one of the great honors of my life to be there, and quite honestly, it was I looked around, I wondered why I was there. It was the creme de la creme of a lot of people with a lot of money and your legislators and governors and everybody else. So it was a pretty big deal, and you know what? The whole time for 4 hours, 5 hours sitting there, we could hear drums beating outside of the White House. We could hear chanting going on outside the White House. It was indistinct, but we could hear it. So in the back of everybody's mind, at least in mine, was how the heck are we going to get out of here? And we went, and so the event ended. We're all on a high. We're excited. It's great, and it's 11:30 at night, and I had to walk a block and a half. How far I had to walk. I started to leave, and I was told it's not safe to go out these gates. And I was in front of me. That's what they were saying. Behind me, they were saying, "You've got to leave. You can't hang out in here." So I had a friend who got me on a bus, and which took me to the Trump Hotel, and which it wasn't where I was going. And finally, at 3 a.m., cops told me it was safe to walk down the 4 blocks where I was supposed to go to get my car to drive home.
Oh my!
But we had people like Dan Bongino, who was abused on the street. His wife was cussed at, spit on, all that. Alice Johnson, who was pardoned that very night, was abused by these rioters, and she literally had to fight her way through the crowd. We had Senator Rand Paul attacked by these rioters, and he believes they would have killed him if not for police showing up on the scene. We had numerous instances like that, too numerous to recount them all. The fact of the matter is, official Washington was shook to its core. They no longer can pretend these are peaceful protesters. They no longer can hide in the illusion that anything is normal. What happened in Kenosha, in terms of the riots in Kenosha, what happened is happening in Portland. What has been happening in Seattle. What's been happening in New York, in Chicago, and truthfully, what happened around the White House in D.C. earlier. Every single one of those people experienced it firsthand. And experiencing it firsthand, now they have to do something about it. They can't hide from it anymore. And I would just encourage anybody who's listening to call your members of Congress and House members and senators and tell them that you expect them to do something about the violent thugs who are roaming the streets trying to intimidate people from being able to exercise their First Amendment rights. And it's time for Congress to step up and stop playing games.
Amen.
And every one of those offices has just experienced this firsthand, and they will respond.
I've got more questions about what you just mentioned, but we have a caller that's been waiting patiently. Quickly, caller, I need you to hurry. Get on the air, please.
Yes, sir. I heard that Ben Shapiro evaluated the speech. I guess it was 75 minutes long. He said it was, he should have been cut to 27 minutes long. But Trump had, said, I didn't hear it yet. I'm sorry, I hadn't had a chance. But I was curious as what you thought of that. I'll let it go with that.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. What did you think of...
15 minutes shorter. The speech should have started at 10 o'clock and not 10:30. So I think those were basically the two flaws in the entire presentation of the evening and the 4 days. I can't help it that Ben Shapiro only has an attention span that will last for 27 minutes. That's not my fault.
Amen. I'm so glad that you said that, because I was going to jump in and say that. I am sick and tired of everybody coming out as an armchair Monday morning quarterback saying, well, he should have done this, he shouldn't have done that. If there's a cat in a tree, it's Trump's fault. I'm sick of this, and I'm so glad to hear you say what you said. I want to go back just for a minute to what I saw on TV, and honestly, I thought of you. I did. I did not know that you were in attendance at that speech at the White House. But when I saw Rand Paul and his wife being jostled and almost knocked to the pavement, thank the good Lord they weren't, or the mob would have taken over and probably kicked and beaten them, I thought of you and I thought, what kind of chaos, what kind of vermin are we allowing to do this in this country without getting a bloody nose and putting them in the place they deserve? And that's back for a respect of law and order. We've lost that.
Yeah, the challenge is that once you left the White House grounds, the District of Columbia's government was responsible for security. And while there were Metropolitan Police officers there, and truthfully, there were a couple of them, the ones who told me not to walk down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning and 1:30 in the morning when I wanted to go home. So they were doing their job. They were out there, but they were dramatically outnumbered. There was no preparation for it, and quite honestly, it would have been an easy thing to prepare for. And the district government chose not to. The challenge we have, where we see these things kind of thrive, are in places like Portland, D.C., New York, Chicago, where you have effectively Soros-like mayors and Soros-like governors combining to essentially allow these people to go and run rampant with no restraints. And so that's where you see the most difficult circumstances. And the answer is that at some point this president's going to have to invoke the Insurrection Act and just go and send military in and deal with it. Because while I don't want military going in anywhere, certainly not domestically, I have great concerns about that. The fact of the matter is, if the state won't protect its citizens and the cities won't protect their citizens, then the federal government has a responsibility to do so, because people of Portland who are not rioting have civil rights too. They have, and if their governor won't do it and their state won't, and their mayor won't do it, then the federal government has a responsibility to do so. And anybody from the left who wants to cry about it, I'll refer them to Brown v. Board of Education, where Eisenhower sent in the troops to make certain little black kids were able to go to school. So, don't talk to me that this is unprecedented. This was done to protect people's civil rights in the past, and it should be done to protect people's civil rights now.
Amen. Amen. Oh, I appreciate that comment. Real quick, I'm almost out of time. I got about 3 minutes left, and I wanted to get into, will we or won't we see any debate between senility and common sense? In other words, Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
I think it's 50-50. If it comes down to a simple question by the Democrats, do they believe they can win with no debate? And if they believe they can win without a debate, then there won't be one. If they don't believe they can win without doing a debate, they will roll the dice, and they will have to have one. My prediction is that they will try to concoct a medical reason why they can't really have a debate, and they'll try to have a Zoom call kind of thing, where Biden will be able to essentially have fed to him whatever answers he's supposed to give, and not be forced to be on stage all by himself, looking at the people and being confronted with real controversy. And so you need to have 3 of these debates at least, should be 4, and the real danger, Zeb, is people are going to be voting in early October.
That's right.
Some places even in September.
That's right.
And so because of this mail balloting and early voting, the Democrats' plan is to bank as many votes before people actually find out that Joe Biden can't do the job. Because once you've mailed your ballot in, you don't get to take it back.
That's right.
So so the objective here for them is to delay a debate as long as possible, so they can bank as many votes as possible, expose them to 1 debate maximum, and in doing so, and as late as possible, in doing so, hopefully trick half the electorate into already voting, so it maximizes their chances of winning.
Let me just say this real quick and give me a short answer on this. I absolutely believe, over the weekend I was thinking about this, that the Pence and Harris debate would be so consequential this year, much more so than other elections. Would you agree?
100%, because I don't think anybody actually thinks Joe Biden's going to serve out his term if he wins. And so if you're voting for the Biden ticket, you're really voting for Kamala Harris to be president.
Absolutely. Rick, I appreciate you being on the program. I'll try to call you later on and fill you in as to what's happening. And God bless you for being on the program this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.
Rick Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government, and he was there in D.C. the other night at the White House for the president's speech, and all the absolute snakes that were out on the streets afterwards trying to get at people that left that rally. I should say that convention and the speech. It was horrendous. I sat there and I feared for Rand Paul and his wife. I feared for Dan Bongino and his wife and other people that were with him. The mobs were absolutely bloodthirsty. That's not the America that we should have. It's not the America that we deserve. Want to remind you quickly about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Delicious food at America's Diner. That's right, I mean delicious food. Like I said this morning, first hour, you pick up the menu. Let's say you're going in for breakfast or lunch or dinner or just for a dessert. You've got a real hard job of trying to figure out, what am I going to choose? They all are delicious, all the choices. And don't forget to really, really nice people that are serving you at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. It's true, Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. You stop in and see them today. Want to also give a great big shout-out for Let's Ride. Yes, get your motor running. Vroom, vroom, start it up and head for the hills. Oh, boy, would I like to. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, with all the side-by-sides and all the four-wheelers, all the accessories, and great service on your equipment. If it needs service work, they've got the best right there. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 2. Don't forget the telephone number, 436-4771. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true, where the fun is sold. Real quick, too, I want to say a big thank you to Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I've dealt with these people on a personal basis for years and years, and they are good. Todd knows what's going on. Very dedicated and devoted to serving you and your family and your business. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more from people that really care. They care. Call them, make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. There is a gentleman that has been on my program for quite some time, off and on. And I have the utmost respect for him. He's a great, great author, and he's got many, many books out in front of the public. And his book on socialism absolutely will open your eyes and open your minds as to how bad the state of America is and could be even worse. We've got to stand up and understand the circumstances. Dr. Gerard Lamero, God bless you for being on the program this morning.
Great to be with you. You have a wonderful show.
Dr. Lamero and Sean, I've got again that feedback problem. If you could help me, please. I want to start off with the left and the evil. I have never seen anything like this. I mean, whether it's Kenosha, Wisconsin, whether it's 3 months of looting and burning and killing in Portland, Seattle, Chicago, 54 shootings this weekend again in Chicago. My goodness, what is going on, and why can't good people step forward to stop this?
Well, I think most people don't have a rifle. They're not part of the law enforcement establishment. And if they do have a rifle, they don't believe in taking law into their own hands. But I think you're going to see them take a big part in the election. I think we're going to have the largest turnout we've ever had in a presidential election. And I think Democrats are going to go down to defeat from coast to coast. I think they're going to lose mayor seats, governor seats. I think they're going to lose the House. And they're also going to go down to defeat in the White House because Donald Trump will be reelected. People are fed up with it. People are angry. People are upset. And I know that there are many people that just can't stomach this, but it's driving them to the polls because that's the way Americans solve their problems. They get rid of people who don't do their job or do a lousy job. And let's face it, that's what's going on when you allow anarchy in your streets.
You know, I have never, and I don't know how old you are, it'd be rude of me to ask, but I'm 72 years old, and in all my life as an adult voting, I've never seen anything like this as far as anarchy and chaos and destruction. And I don't see it getting any better. And when I talk about lives being lost, all the police officers that have been shot, and the horrendous ending of the Republican National Convention last week with people like Rand Paul and Dan Bongino and their wives, they were scared to death they were going to be beaten and kicked and put on the pavement by these mobs. This is insane.
Yeah, and you know what else? Rand Paul said that when they got back to the hotel, finally, the police got them to their hotel safely, that some of the protesters were staying in the hotel down the road, down the aisle from them. And so somebody's funding these people. These are not people who live there. They're people who've been flown in. They're paid. Their hotel bills are paid. They're probably getting paid to do it. And I think I agree totally with Rand Paul. I agree with Ken Buck, who's a congressman from Colorado, who's reinforced Rand Paul's demand that the FBI get involved, find out who's behind this, who is funding it, who is organizing it. Even some of the rioters in Kenosha apparently had also been in Seattle. Well, something's going on here. And let's face it, this is a revolution. They are attempting to overthrow this country. The presidential election in 2016 was attempted to be overthrown by spying on the campaign and then trying to do in Donald Trump. And there are other people who are standing down on these rioters They're allowing anarchy, looting, fires, injuries to police, injuries to regular folks who just happen along and got in the way of the rioters. This is a revolution. They've said it openly. They're Marxists. They said they don't like this country. They want to change it. They want to turn it into a socialist country. People have to fight at the ballot box. We've got to get these people out of office because they are just damaging this country. And I think it's going to happen. I think it's pretty obvious to people that these Democrats have a whole different country in mind than what we have.
Dr. Lamero, I just absolutely will not mention this woman's name. I will not mention her book that is coming out because I will not give her any publicity whatsoever. But there is a sick white liberal woman that has written a book about looters and saying that it's okay to burn and loot and steal because we have white privilege and they, the Black Lives Matter crew, has a right to take what they deserve. This is the sickness that's in our society.
Well, I think it's immoral. You can make a case that back 2,000 years ago somebody was harmed that shouldn't have been, and try to say we owe them money. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just an excuse for theft. That's what it is. It's an excuse for theft. And let's face it, Black Americans are no longer discriminated against in most places. And there's always going to be an occasional bigot in the world. Life's not perfect. But in general, this country treats everybody equally, and we should try to work toward doing that. But the idea of stealing, the idea of looting, the idea of damaging property and hurting people, there's no moral argument for that. And that is a book that I hope people don't buy.
You know, let me ask you, since you've written the book, Real World Socialism, when you've put the typewriter back in the case and the book's hit the streets and it's an excellent book, how much has changed from the writing of that book?
I'd say nothing has changed. It's a classic. You know, everything there is solid. It's going to last for years because the same arguments have been used for the last 100 years. People in the world of socialism who wanted it said the same things 100 years ago. This is a classic book. It's not going to go out of style. And the things that it anticipated in terms of facing the country, some of the things like ballot harvesting, some of the things about election fraud and those kind of things, that book is as true today as when I wrote it. And by the way, this book is a result of my following the trends in the country. You know, I do forecasting, and a year and a half ago I forecasted socialism was going to be the big issue this year, and boy, was that right. It is the number one issue. Do we want to basically vote for Democrats who want for socialism and change the country, or do we want to vote Republican and keep the country the way it is?
You know, Dr. Lamero, in your visits and conversations with various people involved in politics or your neighbors or whatever, please help me in your community. What is the conversation about our police? What are the conversations about defunding and eliminating the police? I mean, this to me is totally unfathomable or unthinkable that we could ever be that dumb.
Well, of course, and that's just one way to cause anarchy. I mean, these people are trying to cause anarchy, and the reason for anarchy is when the country is in chaos, that's when you're ripe for a dictator. In the history of the world, anytime you had anarchy, it led to totalitarian dictatorships, because people can't live when there's chaos. And so then they demand something, and they wind up getting a dictator who dictates everything and puts down the anarchy. They are creating anarchy for the purpose of them getting control of this country. In terms of what's happening here locally, where I am in Fort Collins, Colorado, the answer is there's a thing on the agenda at City Council tomorrow night, and it's basically saying we support the police. And some of the council members are afraid to say yes, that they support the police because they don't want to be attacked by BLM members. So let's see if they've got the guts to vote for this country and to vote for the law enforcement.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about... Let's talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter. You know, I am surprised. I am totally shocked that parents, even parents that reside right here in the Magic Valley by me, have allowed their children that are under 21 years of age, and those that are 18 to 23, 24, 25, whatever. They had a march not too long ago of about 150 people. I think they're totally brain dead. They don't understand what they're marching for, and they're paying tribute to Black Lives Matter. And this scares me that this is going to be a growing cancer all across America.
Well, like most of socialism, it's a lie. It's deceit. What they did is they took an issue, Black Lives Matter, because there are some people who think that black lives didn't matter to some police officers. There's an occasional killing of a black person, usually in the pursuit of an arrest. That fellow, George Floyd, they now say his body was filled with fentanyl. He couldn't breathe because he had such a drug overdose. So you have a drug addict who died, and it's terribly unfortunate, but he might not have been dead if he didn't take the drugs, and yet they're blaming the entire country for that.
Yes, yes.
No, it's people take those kind of issues, they try to blow it out of proportion. That's how socialists take over countries. They find some little thing, blow it out of proportion. And you see, when they say Black Lives Matter, who can disagree? All lives matter, right? I mean, white lives matter, Asian lives matter, everybody's lives matter. But they take that, and those kids, those college kids, are thinking, oh, we're doing something great. They don't realize that the Black Lives Matter leaders say we are trained Marxists. We want to overthrow the country.
Absolutely.
They investigate before they jump on a picket line.
Let me ask you this. I want to shift gears a little bit. Just a few moments ago, I was on the air with my dear friend Rick Manning back in Washington, D.C., and we were talking about the debates. Will they occur or not? And I'm just going to say my part of this, and I want to get your response. I think it is totally unfair to the American public to shield one candidate and find out about his views and his platform and say, oh, well, we don't want to debate Donald Trump because we'll spend most of the debate trying to correct his mistakes. That's absolutely kindergarten material. I demand that the Democrats put Biden on the stage with Trump and have a debate, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, sadly to say, I don't think he will, because I think he knows he's going to be essentially beaten and handily and easily. Trump is a great debater. Joe Biden sometimes appears to have dementia. I don't think he's any who could be a person who could stand up to Donald Trump. So he'll try to avoid it. He's going to try to win this election without ever opening his mouth, because when he opens his mouth, it usually causes a problem. He usually says something stupid and puts his foot in his mouth. So that's the situation. But I think most Americans should automatically say, if this guy's afraid to debate Donald Trump, he's no match for Donald Trump, and he's no match for any other leader in the world that he'd have to debate. Chinese leader, the Russian leader, or any other dictator around. He's no match if he can't even stand on his own 2 feet and defend himself.
Let me ask you, though, I have never in my life, and again, Sean, the feedback, please, in my adult life, seen or heard a possible election of a man that will not come out of his basement. He will not campaign. He will not talk. He will not debate. He stays in the basement with old magazines, and he might get elected? I don't understand this.
Well, I don't think the people are that foolhardy. They may be trying to pull the wool over the eyes of most Americans, but most Americans have enormous common sense. That's one of the things that Ronald Reagan taught about the American people. He told us American people have common sense. And I really believe that to this day. Because, I worked on the Reagan campaign in 76 and 80. And to this day, I still believe in Ronald Reagan's thoughts. American people have tremendous common sense. They can tell when something's funny, and anybody, they can tell that a candidate's hiding from them, and they can tell that that's not a good thing, and he's hiding something. He's hiding his inability to lead, and maybe he has an agenda that we hate, that we would never buy it if we heard it. So he's not going to tell us what it is.
Yeah. I want to shift gears and go over to professional sports. I've been the greatest sports nut, if you will, an advocate of baseball and football and basketball. I will not watch one single professional game, whether it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, or NFL. And after the likes of LeBron James coming out in a very low fashion, supporting the Black Lives Matter and denouncing and basically criticizing his country that has made him a multimillionaire, I think sports is absolutely in the tub right now. They're going down the drain.
Well, you know what? Anything socialism touches, it destroys. And in Venezuela, the economy was destroyed. Here, when they touch something like Major League Sports and that, they're destroying it. Because there are a lot of people like you around the country, and I've heard it many, many times, and they say, I'm not going to another game. I can't stand it. I turned it off the TV, and other people say, I would never go there. I'm not going to have my flag disrespected.
Well, I want to end the program this morning by asking you about something that we haven't talked much about in the past. We've stayed with the concepts of your book, Real World Socialism. But I want to ask you about the coronavirus. I want to ask you about the handling of the virus. I want to ask you about the sincerity and the deadliness of the virus, if there is such a thing. I want your views on that, would you please?
Well, the latest data just out from the CDC was we found out that only 6% of deaths attributed to COVID were actually attributed to COVID. The rest had comorbidities, people who may have had some COVID in their recent weeks and that, but died from heart disease or died from diabetes or died from lung problems. And so now we're finding out that the real numbers are only 6%. And this is not my opinion. This is from the CDC. They announced it yesterday. And then we also found out the tests they're using do not necessarily pick up COVID. You know what they do? They look for a strand of DNA. And if they find that strand, then they say you got it. But you know what? It's the same strand that shows up in the SARS virus, the MERS, same virus, the same thing that shows up in many common cold viruses has that same strand. So they're testing positive for people that don't have it at all. And in fact, one of the latest articles says that 90% of the positive tests are false positives. They're telling people they've got it when they have something else. So I'd say the numbers, like everything else with the government, unfortunately, it's been used by some bureaucrats to make things look worse, to shut this country down, and I think it has political implications. I think they shut it down, and they're trying to keep it shut down simply to get Donald Trump out of office.
Well, let's talk about that, because Biden has come out in criticism of President Trump in regards to, you should have shut the country completely down again. That's another key for the American public to realize, with Biden in there as a president, another shutdown until the virus is completely eliminated. That's not going to happen, because the virus never goes away.
No, cold viruses are on and on. In fact, right now it looks like this one was no worse than H1N1. We get a virus every year or so, and we fight it. And some people get it, unfortunately. Most people get over it or don't get it at all. That's just life. There are bugs out there. People get them. You don't stop everything. But I think the socialists are trying to shut down the country for a reason. Chaos. Make everybody poor, and then you're all dependent on the government and your livelihood. They want your medical care dependent on the government. Can you imagine them taking over that? Can you imagine the government taking over everybody's medicine? Oh, gosh, we won't get new drugs. You'll have to wait in line for a serious operation, like in Canada, where they have socialized medicine. You get like a really serious need for a heart surgery, you get to wait 6 months sometimes. And you die while you're waiting. That's socialized medicine. We sure don't want socialized medicine in this country. We want free medicine. You go to a doctor of your choice. You go to the hospital of your choice. If you don't like somebody, you go someplace that's better.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Real World Socialism, written by my friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero, and I thank him again for being on the program with me this morning. The very best to you, your health, and thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, and I wish all your listeners a wonderful week, a wonderful Labor Day that's coming up soon, and I hope they really take this election seriously and get their friends out to vote, because this is a big election.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Lamero, and I'll be in touch and have you back soon. Thank you very much. All right, sir. There he is, and the book is excellent. Real World Socialism. Get it, read it, and sit back and think, oh my goodness, have we got a lot of messes to pick up and clean up in this country. Well, let's go to the weather forecast quickly, and then I'll take some calls. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The professionals, the best of accounting services to the Mini-Cash area and beyond for over 50 years. They know they are the best to serve you. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more by folks that really can help you, your family, and your business. Get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Last day of August, and it feels a little bit like fall. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 40% chance of showers for today, mostly cloudy skies, and expecting a high of 66. By this afternoon, winds are going to be picking up as well, and gusts could see as high as 33 miles an hour. Tonight, those rain showers could continue in the early evening, mostly clear by the time we hit the overnight hours with a low of 41. The winds are going to continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of 73 with an overnight low of 47. By Wednesday, warming up to 84, and then Thursday and Friday back up into the upper 80s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
Thank you very much, Gina. And the weather brought to you by, like I say, the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Accounting services to you. Yes, please get a hold of them today. If you have a business already and you want to change it over to a partnership or a corporation or whatever your changes, want to hire more employees, you've got questions, they've got answers. They are the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Okay, how about a call? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I mentioned earlier with Dr. Lamero, LeBron James. This man is a person that makes me want to retch. Here's a kid that came out of Ohio and absolutely used his athletic talent out of high school to propel himself into professional basketball and become a multi-millionaire, and America has afforded him everything. Everything. Now he is praising, among other things that he says that are equally as dumb, now he is praising Colin Kaepernick. Remember him, the disgraced San Francisco 49er quarterback that kneeled and disrespected our American flag and our Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, he's praising him. Oh, yeah. LeBron James says that he is a great generational athlete. Think about that. This is what our kids are looking up to. The likes of the despicable LeBron James. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, I don't think I said this today to you, but if I did, forgive me. But Saturday night went out to an event in Twin, downtown, and they had the playoffs on between the Portland Trailblazers and the Los Angeles
Lakers.
And so I was watching it, and I haven't watched any basketball. I haven't seen any games. I didn't realize it. I wasn't even really thinking. And then I looked up and I saw Black Lives Matter, and then, it showed somewhere during the broadcast, it showed them kneeling with their heads bowed like they were praying in reverence towards I don't know what. But these phony phony frauds are a joke. And somebody told me, well, no, it was the other day, it was an actual fact, that since Michael Jordan, remember when the Jazz and the Bulls were in that unbelievable game?
Very much so.
In Utah.
Yes.
And that one forward couldn't stop Jordan, and he scored, and the Jazz ended up losing. And
hurry, Randy, hurry! I'm short on time. Hurry.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is, back then, the NBA was pure. It was good. We loved it, and the ratings on that were huge. Since then, they've lost 50% of their audience, and their audience is dwindling till hell won't have it, and they deserve literally to be without an audience and to go down in the heat.
I will say this in accordance with what you just said, and I don't care whose toes I step on. I would love, and I mean that, with the accordance that they've given Black Lives Matter, and they're walking off the field, or they're walking off the court, or they're demanding that they wear Black Lives Matter warm-up jerseys or decals on the court. I am absolutely looking forward to the day that the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL file bankruptcy.
I do like football. I don't care anymore for the NBA, and I like baseball, but, the signs on the back of the players' jerseys, even Portland's a mess.
I got to run.
It's some sort of, I hadn't paid any attention, but, they think they're so special.
Yeah, well, they're not.
Special is.
Yeah, all right, Randy, I appreciate you, buddy.
Working his behind off to pay his, to raise his children and be a good father and a husband and a good patriot.
I got to go, Randy. I got to go. I can't let you rant. I got to go. Thanks, Rand. Appreciate it. I got to run. I'm late. Don't forget Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Woo! Randy, put a sock in it for just a little bit, please. Oh, they know all about electronics, all your electronic needs. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos, speakers, complete sound systems, and all your TVs from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. What a selection. And all your electronics. You got questions? They've have the answers at Patterson's Electronics. Curtis and Lorena serving you Monday through Saturday 9 to 6 at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Let's head for the news. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. And a good morning. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, the last Monday of August 31st. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. The very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Seniors, if you're within the sound of my voice and are looking for a place to live with your friends and enjoy great, beautiful surroundings, Greystone Crossing is the answer for you at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. I urge you to call the number and find out more, 650-4979. Matt and Kelly Wiggins would be more than happy to show you all around the facility. Make an appointment. Call 650-4979. 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all of this and more at Greystone Crossing Senior Living on El Fresco Road in Heyburn. Also want to mention to you about our friends at 7K Metals, Lon Hardy and Sharon Wilmot. Thank you for all you do. And you can help yourself build your financial security and future through silver purchases. Silver's value keeps going up, up, up. 7K Metals absolutely can help you. And like I said, it's a saving opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones. Don't forget, call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Please tell them I told you to call. They will help you with silver purchases through 7K Metals. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and a gentleman that I think is absolutely outstanding as a service to us, and that's our state senator, Kelly Anthon. Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Thanks so much, and thanks for letting me be on today.
Well, it's my pleasure. The reason I wanted to get you on, and again, Sean, if you could tweak the feedback in my headsets just a little bit, I'd appreciate it. The reason I wanted you on was because last week was a special week in Boise with the governor calling back a special session of the legislature. What was your take on the ifs and whys that had to occur?
Sure, Zeb. It's an unusual thing, and I think it's a good thing that it's an unusual thing for a special session of the Idaho legislature to be called. And just to let your listeners know, so they kind of understand this, and I think many of them do, but the Idaho Constitution is very clear that the Idaho legislature can't call themselves back into session. So even if you have the majority of the Idaho legislature that wants to go back to Boise to start writing laws, they can't do that without the governor. That's the way the Constitution reads today. And if you look back through the history of why that is, the founders of the state said, well, in part, it's that you don't want to surprise Idahoans. You want to give plenty of notice and let them be a part of it so that you don't run to Boise, pass a law, and then pack up and go home. I think the other really good reason why you don't want to have the legislature call themselves into session is really simple. You just, and I say this coming as a senator, you don't want the legislature in Boise all the time. You don't want that. That's what California looks like.
Uh-huh.
And so you just don't want us tinkering up there in Boise. So it's a balance of powers, or at least it was intended to be a balance of powers. Since the founding of the state's constitution, you start to see a couple holes in it. One is, and this has been talked about for many years, that the legislature can't override a veto of the governor after regular session unless they stick around in Boise without adjourning. So you see that right now in Boise at the end of a session. If we think there's a veto coming, we'll just sit around and waste money, waiting for the governor's decision. And so there's that issue. But this more recent issue of the emergency, if a governor declares an emergency, why can't the legislature go back to Boise and try to address it as well?
Mm-hmm.
And so these are some issues I think we're going to see coming up, Zeb. I didn't mean to go off in the weeds too much, but I think in your next legislative session, we're going to be trying to address this constitutional issue of how long does the governor get emergency powers before the legislature can go back to Boise and govern.
Right.
And so that's an important issue. But that being the case, the governor called us back to session this last week only for two reasons, essentially. One was a question of how are we going to handle voting coming up in November? And number two was how are we going to deal with threats of frivolous lawsuits that have come up because of this coronavirus pandemic? And so he outlined those basic topics, and when you go to Boise, that's all you're allowed to do under the current Idaho Constitution. So that's kind of setting the table, Zeb, of why we went back to Boise.
Let me ask you this. And first of all, it's kind of a statement, and then go from there. There's a lot of people that are extremely unhappy with Governor Little. They're extremely unhappy with some of the people going as far as saying dictatorial powers, etc. But from a legislator's standpoint, from a senator's standpoint, what are your thoughts about what was done or what wasn't done and where we are now?
Sure. Well, I get the very convenient position of being the Monday morning quarterback. And I'm here to tell you, and I would tell anybody, and I'd tell the governor, I am not pleased with everything that he's done. And he knows that. The Senate Republicans wrote a letter to him outlining our concerns about the spending of $1.25 billion without the legislature's appropriation, some of the emergency orders that took place, and so on and so forth. So that having been said, I know Brad Little well enough to know that he's not a guy that's sitting up at night trying to figure out how to take away our liberty. I think he was dealt a funny hand. He took the powers that the statutes gave him, and he did what he thought was best. And I knew the minute that happened, it was a no-win for him. Like I said, I don't believe he did it all right. And so I think this comes back to kind of the first comments, which is we need to be looking at our Constitution and asking, should you give the governor that kind of authority that seems to have no end? I mean, he could forever and ever and ever declare emergencies conceivably and run the state.
Yep.
So there is a problem there. I don't think that it's Brad Little trying to upturn the government and be a dictator necessarily.
Well, wait a minute though, Kelly. Let me jump in here and ask you a question. I think in fairness to the audience and in fairness to those that are wondering about what he did right in your opinion or what he did wrong, be more explanatory on that, and please tell the audience what you do think he did right and wrong.
Well, I think that in light of the information that we had at the wrap-up of the last legislative session, it looked like, and you guys will remember, you'll remember, it looked like a serious pandemic was sweeping over us. We didn't know what we were dealing with. We didn't know how serious it was. We were being fed information from other places. And so the governor had to, I think, take the information he had and do the best he could for Idahoans. The fear was we're going to overrun the hospitals. And so I think that him declaring an emergency was the correct thing to do. I think that some of the measures that he took to try to keep the hospitals from being overrun was the correct thing to do. But once we saw that begin to play out, and once money started rolling into the state, that's where I think, we should have involved the legislature more to talk about how do we effectively spend $1.25 billion in Idaho. That's in my opinion, and I think as you read the Constitution of the state of Idaho, that's the legislature's job.
Absolutely.
So just a couple things there.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, I'm going to ask you to keep it brief. Go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yes, I'll make this quick, but I think this is extremely important. I'm involved. I talk to House members across the state on a regular basis, and so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't talk to the House leadership. Okay, so when the House voted, 48 or 68 to 20, whatever it was, to end the emergency declaration,
yep,
I was told that they knew that the Senate, and you ought to know, was going to not vote for it. So the House members could vote for to end the declaration, but they knew it wasn't going to matter. All it was a show vote because the Senate wasn't going to take it up. I thought ending this thing and getting people back to work so there weren't 50% in your restaurants, the bars could open, the beauty salons, we could just need to be released.
Yeah.
And then, so it was like a secret combination. And I'm so upset. When we find out that things are going on here that don't look right, I need somebody to tell me I'm wrong. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, Kelly, please.
I'm happy to visit with you about this and anytime, and anybody who has questions. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that was a secret combination. And here's a couple of things I think that are important. One is, I can't tell you what the House was thinking when they did what they did and when they passed what was called HCR 1. I can tell you what's gone on in the Senate because, as you know, and I've said this before, my job in the Senate is the majority caucus chair, so I have to wrangle the Republicans. And the Republicans in the Senate are ready for this thing to be over. I can promise you that. There's not a single one of them that's in favor of keeping any kind of emergency declaration. The piece of information that has not been communicated, and maybe this is what you call a secret combination, the piece of information that has not been communicated to Idahoans is that by ending the governor's emergency order, no matter how you do it, it doesn't get rid of the regulations for mandatory masks, shutting down businesses, shutting down churches. All those things that we're sick of would not be terminated by ending the order. So I think that's the part that I find kind of disingenuous, is you got these promoters out there saying, let's end the governor's order, and then you find out, well, it doesn't do anything. The only thing it does is it cuts off FEMA money, which is money that's going to Meals on Wheels and hospital, supplies and some of this other stuff. So there's a lot of misinformation, and this is not new, that flows out of Boise by special interest groups that want to make you mad and get you to do whatever they either send them a check or get them to vote for the candidate they want you to vote for. But the thing that really bothered me, Randy, about the whole episode was you're telling the people of Idaho, by ending these orders, we're going to stop all this stuff that's keeping us from getting back to normal. And it's just not true.
Absolutely.
It's not true at all.
Kelly,
I appreciate that question. That's a good question.
We've got another caller with a quick question. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Yes, Senator. I just heard on the radio this morning something that was very disturbing to me, and that is the government wants to do away with the AM band of radio, which would include us on the radio right now. What in the world is going on?
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't heard that. Now, I remember, as I think in my mind, years ago, and this has been a concerted effort, in my opinion, by the Democrat liberals, because it's not just been, let's get rid of the AM ban, it's been, let's have the fairness doctrine and some of these other policies, which are meant, I think, to curtail talk radio and some of the other things that are used to communicate messages outside the mainstream media. That's my take on it. I don't know, and I don't know any reason why we'd have to disband AM radio or do anything of the sort.
No, and let me jump in here and say something to Keith. Keith, as a matter of fact, I, since last Friday, have been on the phone with a gentleman that maybe Senator knows and or has heard of, Seton Motley, back in Washington, D.C. He's kind of a detective protecting everybody in the radio and television business of all the encroachments by the liberal left, and he will be coming, hopefully, on my program Wednesday of this week and discussing this. So, Keith, I appreciate your call.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. It was just such a brief little note there that just kind of gets you thinking.
Yeah.
What would we do without Zeb Bell and other Hannity and some of the others that use the AM system?
Well, it's ridiculous, and it's absolutely going to draw a fight. But, Keith, God bless you, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's put a stop to it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Kelly, I got to ask you that I was sickened because of the outrageous behavior of some people that were trying to literally bust and barge their way in, like the slime that's in Portland and Seattle and other places, and break into the session. Am I being too harsh in my verbiage or what?
I don't think you are, Zeb. I'll tell you what. I have worked with police officers my entire career. I've been city attorney, I've been city prosecutor, I've been in the public defender's office, I've managed the police as an administrator. And I know that periodically you get a bad apple in that bunch. But overall, I unabashedly support our police officers and our state troopers. And what I witnessed in the Capitol this last week made me ashamed of some of the Idahoans that came there and treated the state police like garbage.
Yes.
Refused to follow simple requests just to keep people safe, push their way into places, and really I think we're stirring up trouble so they could video record it and then, again, get on the internet and try to get some money out of the deal. I'm not saying the police always do things right, but on the whole, I was very grateful to have the Idaho State Police in that Capitol. We're the hallmark of American life is law and order, is the rule of law. And without that, we have nothing but chaos. And I think that there's a push for chaos.
There is a push for chaos, but I really was surprised as to the attitude and actions of these people, breaking and smashing a door like these protesters, and I use the term loosely, in Portland and other places. If they don't get their way like wannabe crybabies, they destroy, and I don't want to see that kind of garbage happen in Idaho.
I don't think most Idahoans do, and I don't know exactly what all happened on the House side. I know that's where some of that trouble took place. I didn't witness that. But I can tell you on the Senate side, we had people trying to push into committees past the police, pushing the police around. Yeah, we don't need that. And the police officers, in my opinion, as I watched them, were acting professionally.
Kelly, real quick. I'm running short on time, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to get a couple of issues in. What about the coronavirus, and what about the handling in the future? We cannot have another shutdown. And then I want you to get into the balloting and voting for this fall. Quickly, I've got about 6 minutes left.
Okay. Yeah, let me jump into it real quick. I would say to your listeners, if you want to see where the Senate is headed in terms of legislation in the coming year on how you deal with the coronavirus, go to the Idaho Bill Center. Just Google Idaho Bill Center. It'll take you to the legislation that we just passed. And what you want to look at is Senate Resolution number 1. And that is where the Senate came in and said, we're calling on the governor to end emergency orders. And here is the stuff we're going to be dealing with in the next year. And so it'll outline very clearly what those things are. And just to give you a flavor of that, ending orders prohibiting Idahoans from going to places of worship, rescinding emergency orders, trying to rein in or at least better define the authority of public health districts, and so on and so forth. So there's a list of 8 items there that you can see where we're headed in the Idaho Senate, at least, on how to deal with the coronavirus. With regard to voting, Zeb, and that was another big issue in the legislature this year, there were 2 important bills passed. One, House Bill 1, that assures that each Idahoan gets the right to go to the polls in person if they so choose and cast their ballot. The second was Senate Bill 1001. It was amended in the Senate as well, but it provides for and it's only for a 1-year period, just for this November, this particular bill. It provides for Idahoans to have a little more time to vote by mail if they choose to. This is absentee, not a mail-in requirement. And then also give some latitude to county clerks, which they need, in how they count those bills, but also how they secure those bills. Those ballots. So it provides some security measures to make sure that when you do mail in a ballot, if you choose, that it is very carefully stored and secured and counted, and so we don't have voter fraud. So 2 very important bills, I think. There was one other bill that I kind of wish had passed. It would have provided the county clerks with some flexibility as to where you can vote and a few things like that, but we couldn't get that through the House, so that's okay. We'll that's why we have both houses of the legislature, to make sure we're doing things right.
Kelly, the mail-in ballot that took place for the primaries, I went along with, but I'll tell you what, I will never sanction it again on my program because I'm scared of the mail-in ballots. I'm scared of the discrepancies. I'm scared of the illegalities, and don't anybody tell me I'm wrong because they occur quite frequently. We just saw in other states and other voting primaries where like 500,000 votes were lost, they said. This kind of stuff we just can't rely on. I say go to the polls, show your ID, vote, and be proud.
I do too. I don't support a required mail-in ballot. I don't think that's the way we should go or we should head. And Zeb, of course I live in the rural areas. I've seen where people come from nursing homes to the polling station, and the accommodation that our good county clerks and polling officials make. Some of these folks don't even have to get out of their car. They'll come out there, check their ID, let them vote. We can do this. We can do this. We can have, even in a time of pandemic, the right for people to go to the polls. If they can go, as I've said, and I think I've heard from many people, if you can go wander around Walmart, you can go to the polls and cast a ballot.
Amen. And with voter ID, why is it, please tell me in a minute's time, why is it so difficult? Why is it such an encroachment upon your freedoms to present an ID to tell who you are?
It's not. And anyone who fights against that, I think, is fighting for fraud. Why shouldn't you have to prove who you are when you show up at the polls?
We've got a call, one quick call. I'm only going to give you 15 seconds, caller, and I'm going to shut you off. Real quick. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my question was, what happens this fall if they go ahead and shut us down, and when the president's term is up and they're still trying to count all the votes and they haven't decided who the president is, and Nancy Pelosi ends up being put in that position? Is there something that Idaho has in place to keep her crap out of Idaho? I'll hang up.
It's a good question. Kelly, please.
We've discussed this Yeah, we've discussed this as a Senate. This bill that we passed that allows us to select our electors early in the process will prevent shenanigans in the U.S. House of Representatives that would let Pelosi choose a president. So we've got some things and that's why we need you to go to the polls and vote.
Absolutely. Thank you. You know, I can't say enough about what you do, who you are, and how you represent your task as being a state senator. Kelly Anthon, I salute you for what you do, and thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Zeb, and thanks for being a good friend, and I appreciate you very much.
No, God bless you, man. Take care. Thank you so much. That man has been so diligent. I called him last week, and he said, hey, I know so-and-so and so-and-so that could come on your program at a certain time. I mean, I have the utmost respect for Senator Kelly Anthon. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, boy, I got to admit, I could stand a good night's sleep after the last 2 weeks. It's just been horrendous. I better check on a new Simmons Beauty Rest mattress. Oh, if you've got sleep problems, they've got the answers at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Don't forget, too, they got the largest selection of floor covering and carpet. I mean, whatever you want to do to beautify or comfortize your home, they can help. And they've got all your furniture, all your chairs, all your dining room sets, all your recliners, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see Jeff and the rest of the outfit today. Right now, we're going to send this over to Sean, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes with Dog Days. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour. And we're a few minutes behind, and I'm going to quickly go on the telephone line to Dog Days with Minidoka Animal Control and our dear friend Deb Hines. Deb, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb.
Well,
it's Tuesday or Monday. What can you say, right?
Yeah, and it's the last day already of August, and I find that really hard to believe that summer's gone, somebody lost it.
I know. That's what I told them this morning. I said, oh, we got fall coming up, and we should have snow by 7th of September. Because it's, Labor Day weekend.
Absolutely. Listen, what's going on with Dog Days? I know that you've had some problems over there, and I don't know if those were discussed last week or not, but I thought I'd check with you. What's going on with the Minidoka Animal Shelter as far as the dogs and any problems that you're trying to overcome?
Okay, well, first I just need to make everybody aware that we do not have parvo here.
Okay.
We use the same disinfectant that they use at the hospital to clean our kennels and everything. The parvo outbreak hit when I had 30 pups in here all
at
once, because I was getting them 9 at a time in a litter, and unfortunately, because of the way I do things, I vaccinate them as soon as they hit the door. And if they don't have any type of an immune system, I've shot them with a live virus, and them breaking, there's a very, very good chance they're going to do that. But we got past that, and we're now back on track.
Good.
So.
Well, explain to me and the audience, when you say parvo, and I know it hit the front page of the illustrious Times News and everything else, what is parvo and what does it do? Can you explain that for us?
It is like a flu, only it attacks these puppies' digestive systems, their stomach, and it can move to their heart. I had a personal pup of mine died because parvo got into its heart. So it just basically destroys their internal organs. Totally.
I see. And
that's why it is so, so, so important when these people have litters, when these pups are 5 weeks old, get them vaccinations.
Absolutely.
They need those shots.
Absolutely.
And the parents need to be vaccinated to begin with, because when they nurse, that helps them build up their immune system.
Okay, now you made the statement a moment ago, and you said we do not have a parvo problem. So everything looks shipshape and ready to find dogs for the owners.
Like I said, we're using we've got a disinfectant. We have even disinfected our yard. But the biggest reason that we lost control of this is, like I said, I was getting pups 9 at a time, and unfortunately we had to put them all in together. So if one gets it, the rest of them are going to get it. And that was our biggest issue. We had so many, and I didn't have room. So we've got things. Thankfully, I don't have any pups right now, and when we have any pups, we've got enough room that I can spread them out.
Okay.
And please excuse a little bit. He's talking to somebody.
Okay. That's all right. Listen, in the time remaining, what about dogs that we want to feature this morning that need homes and need good quality owners?
A little bit would be one of them. He's a Terrier Cross. He is house trained, and as you heard, when he wants something, he will communicate very well with you. And I've got another little guy, not little, we got in a Golden Retriever Cross named Lily. Very nice dog. Very nice dog. These two definitely need to be in homes and not here.
Okay. What about Little Bit?
I mean, I don't know if she's house trained. I know she's Lily is good on a leash, good with other dogs, very low key. Well, the retriever, she's got that attitude and she looks like that, the feathers and everything.
Right.
I don't believe she's a purebred, and I'm not sure what she's crossed with, but she sure is a nice dog.
Okay, so we got Lily, that's a Golden Retriever Cross, and then we've got Little Bit. You didn't tell me what kind of a dog Little Bit is.
Oh, Little Bit is a terrier.
Okay.
He's a Terrier Cross.
Okay.
He's tan, and he likes to communicate.
All right. Tell us what you'd like people to do. I mean, like, Little Bit's going to be a little dog, I'm assuming, and Lily's going to be an older, bigger dog outside, probably for the yard as a guard dog, etc. How about are they good with kids?
Yes. They are love kids. And the reason we know that is because one of the girls that works for me has a young lady, her daughter, that comes in and helps on occasion. And she's as Kelly would say, our test dummy.
Okay.
She helps with all the dogs. But, she's not afraid of them, so that helps.
Well, all they have to do is get a hold of you, Deb Hines, at Minidoka Animal Control. Can you tell us the number and the hours that they can call to see about these dogs?
Yeah, it's 208-438-2200.
Okay.
And we're here Monday through Friday from 9 to 1, and Saturdays 9 to noon.
Very good. It seems to me like all these dogs that are either given up for adoption or are just left unclaimed or left out on a roadway or a field someplace. This is so sad. Are we depleting the numbers, or are there more so bigger numbers every day?
Well, I'm getting more drop-offs with nobody claiming them every day.
I see.
Sad because they're good dogs.
Uh-huh.
The other thing that's been happening is that, we're getting litters of pups. And if people would get their animals, at least one of them fixed, it would be awesome. And the thing is, I've got a program here. If they want to do that, we will help with the spay or neuter.
Very good.
So that it's not costing these people a fortune.
I just can't understand how anyone, and I've talked to you about this off the air, how anyone could just drop off a litter of pups or drop off the mama and the puppies and just drive away. It takes a cold-hearted person to do that.
Well, to me, it would be like giving up a kid.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, my daughter would tell you that there are times when I would have taken my animals over her any day of the week, but I still wouldn't have gotten rid of her. And that's what it's like to me. That's why when, anything happens to my dogs, I just lose it because they're my babies.
Absolutely. Once again, this is Deb Hines over at Minidoka Animal Control. And Deb, the number to call for Little Bit and Lily is what? Give us that number again.
208-438-2200.
I really appreciate you coming on the air with this. This is a service to not only the dogs, but also to our community. And all dog owners should really pay attention and remember that they are gifts. They really are gifts. Deb Hines, God bless you, and thanks for being on the program. I really appreciate it, Deb. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeb, and you're always in our prayers.
I appreciate that more so now than ever. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Deb.
Bye-bye.
Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather is brought to us by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Or if you want to find out more about all the delicious meats, go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. They've got all the pork ribs, and they've got all the tri-tips, and they've got all the different flavors of bacons, and they've got all the bratwurst and all the breakfast sausages. The list goes on and on. You check it out for any occasion or whatever you need, some delicious meats. Scarrows Meats, the number to call, 324-7657. Right now, let's listen to Gina with our weather.
Last day of August, and it feels a little bit like fall. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting a 40% chance of showers for today, mostly cloudy skies, and expecting a high of 66. By this afternoon, winds are going to be picking up as well, and gusts could see as high as 33 miles an hour. Tonight, those rain showers could continue in the early evening, mostly clear by the time we hit the overnight hours with a low of 41. The winds are going to continue out of the west at about 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow, back to sunny skies, high of 73 with an overnight low of 47. By Wednesday, warming up to 84, and then Thursday and Friday back up into the upper 80s. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I'll tell you what, I've had the windows open in the studio. Well, I did have, past tense. I've had the windows opened, and they are now shut. It is plumb chilly in here this morning. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I have something a little bit lighter. Oh, some years ago, Mary and I went down to the golf tournament at Pebble Beach. We were passing a house. Out comes Forrest Tucker, walks up to us, speaks to us, and I took a picture of Forrest Tucker and Mary. And this was many years ago. And what a nice guy he was.
I have heard that. You know, he came on in various characters that he played in the Western movies, and some of which were a little bit dark and sinister. And then, of course, he had the comedy show during the 60s, F Troop, where he played the star lead in that TV series. I never met him, but I've heard a lot of people say he was a very gracious man.
Yeah, he was. And I've still got his picture here somewhere in my collection.
Wonderful.
I just thought I'd bring that up.
You know, not all of Hollywood, not all of the actors or actresses are Looney Tunes to the liberal left. There are some common sense people. I know Tom Selleck is a person that has some values of great conservative nature, and there's many others. But I appreciate you telling us that story this morning. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Well, you're more than welcome there. I just had to get that off there.
All right, my friend.
The one thing I was disappointed in was it was a Bing Crosby tournament.
Right.
And the little kids were going up to Bing Crosby for his autograph. And he was telling them, "Shoo, get away." And after that, I lost all respect for Bing Crosby.
You know, isn't it interesting about what you just said? I have been, and I'm not trying to drop names, don't get all carried away on that, audience, but I've had a chance to be around a lot of these so-called Hollywood celebrities, movie stars, TV stars, etc., and I know many many of them, to the point where they've been very gracious and very willing to give an autograph or have a picture taken. I'll give you an example. James Caan. I don't know if you know who he is or not. He starred in The Godfather, and he's a good friend of mine and has been for years. The first time I met him, I asked him, I said, my wife is upstairs. We were staying at a hotel back in Denver. I said, my wife is upstairs. Could you hang around for a few minutes so she could get to meet you? Oh, yeah, sure, I'll wait. That's the kind of people many of them are. I don't like to lump all of Hollywood or all of moviedom into being literal and liberal.
Well, oh no, I met Jan Merlin one time. He always plays a bad guy. I met him at the airport in Burbank, and I was waiting for my flight. We stopped and talked for about a half hour. And he always plays a bad guy.
I didn't get the name. Who was it again?
Guys are one to talk to.
Who was it again, Tony? I couldn't hear the name. The phone cut out just a little bit.
Jan Merlin.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he was an actor. He never got real big, but I see him in a lot of westerns.
Well, I tell you what.
He was a real nice person.
One of the nicest people I ever met in my whole life was Ken Curtis, that played Festus on Gunsmoke. And, boy, when you meet him out of the role of Festus and then you try to put him into the role of Festus, it's hard to imagine, but I'll tell you what, he created quite a character that was very successful on that TV show.
And boy, did he have a voice.
Oh, yes. He used to be a singer with the Sons of the Pioneers. You knew that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big Cowboy fan.
All right. Well, Tony, God bless you, and thank you for your call this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, it's really nice. Richard Farnsworth, that starred in the movie The Gray Fox, I had a chance to know quite well. And what a nice man he was. And met him at, of all places, the Reno Snaffle Bit Fraternity years ago. And I was announcing that event, and just really nice people. You want to hear something that absolutely makes no sense to me whatsoever? Maybe somebody can call and give me sense on this. Michigan Governor Whitmer, you know, you've heard of her. She's been in the news a lot in the last couple of months over the coronavirus and shutdowns, etc. Now she's put the thumbs down on high school football. And she's got the parents of Michigan absolutely irate, and necessarily so. Here's some of her edicts. She said that they can't play football, but the cheerleaders can cheerlead. Now, would you please help me? Please, I'm an old man. What good is allowing cheerleading when they don't have any games to wave their pom-poms at? I mean, please, somebody call 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The idiocy and incompetency that's going on with the so-called leadership around the United States is absolutely pathetic. I want to remind you about our dear, dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, they've got 7 locations with the best of tires, all sizes, all the tread designs for all vehicles, all trailers, everything. You stop in and see them today. And, by the way, too, I want to emphasize the brake service. We sometimes don't really rely upon checking our brakes very often. And all of a sudden you step on the brake and you go, woo, look out. And you better get in and have it taken care of. Brake service with highly trained technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more with the people that are really the professionals and A1 in service. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. James in Buell, Dan on Poline in Twin Falls, Lane in Rupert, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin, and Trent on Overland in Burley. They are committed to serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm going to take a minute and just tell you that my lovely bride, Deanne, of 49 years, is having some severe problems. And health issues are very, very serious. I have been a little bit lax on keeping a lot of people informed as to her condition. But I want and appreciate your prayers and all your well wishes so that we get her back home. And I just want to take this moment to thank everybody for being so kind and generous and understanding with all the cards and the emails and the phone calls, all of which I can't return everyone's phone call, but I absolutely do appreciate your wishes of best to my wife and your prayers and your blessings. Thank you so much. She is the quarterback of our team. And I really, really miss her here at home, and I'm praying that we can get her well. I'm going to, at this juncture, Sean, if you don't mind, I'm going to leave about a minute early. I have some connections and calls I have to take care of quickly, and thank you one and all. We'll be back tomorrow at 8:06, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that right now mean more to me than anything else: in God we trust. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.